longer. You know the farmer, and so the you know what his practices are or her practices are, and you can have a lot more confidence in what you're getting, especially when, yeah, our food system has become so global and we don't really have that connection. And the connection actually is probably the most important, where you feel connected to your food. When you know who's growing your food, you can really feel a lot better about what you're doing.
So do you enjoy the power of dictating to your CSA members what they're going to eat?
I sometimes feel like they dictate to me. I've got people who are like, I don't like radishes, or
eat it.
Just eat it.
I've had to get used to, like, as living in America, is because of cheap oil. If I want to have whatever it is, it's always available for me. I can go to Whole Foods or the grocery store. It's not very good. You know, it was picked probably before it was ripe and brought here on a ship, or who knows where it comes from. I mean, it's common to have apples from New Zealand, and you know, that's crazy when you start thinking about it. So just because you want something out of season, you know, you kind of have to think differently. You kind of have to start eating what is in season. And what I noticed about it is it just seems that you treasure it more. So you're like, okay, I'm thinking I can't wait for the fall because we get the nice crisp apples are coming, and then in the springtime for this. So you kind of have to have a different way of thinking when you get involved with this. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you do, and you have, and I think it's, you know, getting away from those conveniences is and connecting in with where you are is a process. You know, you don't have to do it all in one go either. You can keep going to the grocery store and getting avocados, which I do. But I think there is, like you say, there's a real celebrating the seasons. You know, you don't get everything all the time. You know, and so it creates some issues though too. Like you need to learn how to cook with what you have. You know, it's like, oh, you know, you got that signature tomato and basil salad. Well, sorry, you can only make it for a few months of the year if you're going to be buying local. You know, you're going to have to come up with some other salads or some other dishes.
Right.
So there's a real engagement that happens. So people need to have the time and they have to care about it and have the time to really to take it on as a life-changing or mind-changing experience.
Now, all of this aquaponics and greenhouse is all nice for you, having a background in growing up third-generation gardener, but what about the rest of us?
I'm not a third-generation gardener. I mean, I'm sure my grandmother had a backyard, you know, a couple of flowers. And
I'm a little tongue-in-cheek here, but actually, you started this about 3 years ago.
That's right.
And knew nothing about it. Completely self-taught.
Yeah. I took a year off to research and volunteer at a couple different community farms and spend a lot of time on the internet researching, watching a lot of YouTube videos.
Exactly, yeah. What was interesting, what you were saying was what your goal was, that so you have roughly 5,000 feet here undercover, or is that with the outside
3,000 feet undercover, and then probably another 3,000 square feet outside.
So with that amount to be able to feed 100 families. And so now how CSA works, how I understand it, is that for you guys to kind of get started in the season, people will come and buy a share, and in that share, so then you deliver to them weekly grocery or whatever you're growing. So it might be tomatoes and potatoes and kale, and then something different the other time.
It's a biofiltration bed, and that oxygenates the whole biofiltration bed, which is key. And yeah, the bacteria live up here that transform that ammonia into nutrients.
And the ammonia comes off the fish, not through their waste, but through
their gills.
Through their gills. So from the tilapia that you saw us feeding later is the pump, and then that pump runs up here and then floods the, I keep forgetting what this is called, this filter.
Biofiltration.
A biofiltration. And then you don't have to introduce any biology to it. It just basically, like you gave the analogy of the fruit flies, they just show up.
Right, you bring the fruit and the fruit flies show up. Exactly.
Now from this, once it goes through here, it filters down, and now you're feeding your beds, all of your raised bed with this water.
Yeah, we have our beds, they're 2 feet tall. They have a rubber liner, it's like a pond liner. And the beds have 6 inches of pumice on the bottom, a layer of landscape cloth, and then 1.5 feet of dirt. And we fill the water, we can fill the beds through these gaskets here, or
the pipes.
And so we fill them during the summer about once a week. And
so you know they're full. You basically fill it up, and this is like a swimming pool. It's got a rubber membrane in it. It fills up, and then comes out the other end, and then it's full.
When we see it coming out the other end, then we know it's full.
Right. I like the strawberries, and I ask you. So you have these. We're up pretty high here. These are about 7-8 feet off the ground, and I asked, why did you put these up here so high? Because, well, you tell why.
Trying to maximize the space. There's, this is 30 feet wide. We have 15 feet of beds across, which means that I have 15 feet of non-used space on the width of the greenhouse. And so I really wanted to make use of the walkways as much as possible. And so this is our effort to use the vertical space and the space over the walkways.
So you guys just built these troughs and then lined them with the black fish queen, and so the water pumps in from the fish pond and it just runs stair steps down here, and then when it comes out the other end, you guys shut it off, or there's a drain here.
It drains down into the bottom of our grow beds, and then comes out the other side and returns to the.
So everything is just kind of a closed loop.
That's
it
right.
just all ends up back in the fish pond.
Recirculating. People don't know how to eat, they are hungry to understand, but I can see these blockages, so they do need recipes. It's really, I can see their enthusiasm and their openness. So we send out a weekly newsletter, and I try to engage them. And like last week's, it was like, eat your radishes, because people were saying, what do you do with radishes? I'm like, eat it. Just bite it. Eat the radish. Don't, and here's some recipes too, if you need a recipe to wrap your mind around it. But people need help.
One thing I've really noticed about what you guys have done around here is how creative you've been with, whether it's the heat exchangers or the fans. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you just get the big electric gable fans like they have on the commercial ones? But what it's about, like what we do on our homestead, it's all about making do with what we have. Yeah. Because we don't have the money, and we're not willing to go into debt to go buy brand new tractors and the things. Yeah, we would like to have them, but you have to, if you're going to do this, you have to figure out a way, because as you were saying, you guys have done this all out of pocket. You don't owe anyone anything, and in a matter of 3 years, look what you put together. Yeah, there's different things you'd like to have, but it's really, farming and doing this is all about, it's improvising.
Yeah, like you say, you don't need to have everything be shiny and perfect, and it's knowing what you need to have shiny and perfect, which I'm going to show you the cedar.
Right.
Our big expenditures go to things that you can't compromise on. But the fans, there's lots of creative ways of getting air circulation, or there's lots of creative ways, and yeah. So this is supposed to be kept dry and out of the elements. So
look at that. So this is the precision cedar. So we're going to go outside, and after we see this, and you've got your mixed greens, where before you used to just broadcast seed. And so what's the difference of broadcasting versus using something like this?
So I think one of the main benefits is that you use less seed. The spacing is more uniform, so it's easier to harvest. And you can really determine. So as the way it works here is, as you pull it through the dirt.
So these are the hoppers. So you load these up with 4 seeds.
That's right.
And then it's got the brush there, and then a seed falls in the little drilled out area, and then just distributes it.
That's right. And they come out through the bottom here. You can see this. As you pull it, it drops 1 seed per, as it goes, and then this actually puts the dirt back over top of the seed.
Ah, right. Of course. And then you can adjust for different size seeds here.
That's right. And there's the hole sizes change too. There's like 4 different hole sizes. So there's a lot of adjustment.
Oh, right. I see. So you move this back and forth depending on what the seed is.
That's right.
That is ingenious. I can see why it's $250 now.
Yeah. So it's from Johnny's seed.
And it doesn't come with a leather sheath, or?
We've got a fancy black bag over top of it.
All right, so this is your salad mix right here, basically.
This is our salad mix. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different greens.
All the different colors of bands are so cool. That's what you get with the power seeder then.
Well, the power seeder, what it's doing is the spacing. And so you can see here, like the plants are pretty uniform.
So we'll start through here at the box, and now how many different, you said you were going to try to specialize in about 12 things?
That's right. Nothing's good without an experiment. This is celery.
Now this was a big hit with everyone here, so you get these at...
Ooh, look at that. Look at that. The farmer at work here finding something to feed to the fish.
You know, Monsanto's got a solution for that. Easy to see what you got. You can take your inventory real quickly. Yeah. You're not pulling everything back.
Yeah.
I like that. That's really, really fun.
Because of the conveniences of a global food system, we've forgotten how to cook a lot, and how to just understand. And it's so simple. You know, the recipes are really, it's a simplicity. In this complex world, we've forgotten about the simple.
What's so interesting is, like growing up where we did, I didn't know that there was any other apple than a red delicious apple, and I didn't really like apples. And I just a couple of years ago, I thought, you know, I don't think I really like apples. And then you come here and you start eating proper apples, you know, Brayburns and pink ladies, and you know all the different organically grown apples, and it is almost, I've told Jessica, it's like eating perfume. It tastes good because a red delicious apple, that's not all there is to it, but a lot of people have no idea when they go to the grocery store. They just don't have those varieties, and they're just not available. They're just not even aware of what's going on.
And what's amazing, a red delicious apple, I'm with you, I've always disliked them, but if you taste a red delicious apple that has been picked in season,
it's good,
and it is amazing, and you can see why it got the reputation it did. But yeah, the other reason it got the reputation is because it's easy to ship, it stores really long. So a lot of the nice thing about having being part of a local food supply is that you can have foods that don't ship very well, that are good only if you get them in the couple days that they were picked. And that, like you say, you get to enjoy the specialness of it.
So you've got, above the fish pond, you've got these heat exchangers.
Yep.
So the tilapia, they have to be kept, they live in a pretty narrow range, right, of temperature?
Yeah, they need to be above 75 degrees. 70 to 75 is the low range, and they can go up to, I think, like 90 or something. And the nice thing about being a small-scale farmer is you can put the attention to the nutrients in your system. You put the attention to, you don't need to have these huge solutions of spraying something to kill the bugs. Like, you can do smaller scale solutions that are better for the environment and really, you know, healthier for, it creates more nutritious foods too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the perfect example is we're going around looking at the beds and talking, and everyone's pulling weeds out. You know, you're not spraying Roundup on them, and that ending up on their tables. So this is utilizing every square inch.
Yeah. So the goal is to use as much space as possible.
So these are your mushrooms.
These are the mushrooms.
And so you'll just harvest them right out of the holes in the grate, allegedly.
Hope and dream, hope and dream.
You didn't paint your fingernails today.
Oh, I paint them every day with dirt.
Oh.
It's my,
well, I thought all girls
signature.
had to have painted fingernails.
This is my signature manicured look.
Calluses?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you can.
Look at that.
Oh yeah.
I admire that.
There's like rough spots that I've not seen not rough since I was on the beach for 2 months.
Well, I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing here. I'm really impressed. It's a huge, huge amount of work, but nicely done.
Thank you.
When you showed up at the farm, visions of the summer flying past you, foxes had torn up mother and